What's up? What's up? What's up? Your boy Domuto. We are back with another video. Today we're watching UnrealEntGaming Beyond Dragon Ball Super Berserker Raijin versus the Omni Grand Priest. Intensifies Raijin's hidden plan. Alright, man. Back to see more of this fight. We're gonna do a 2-on-1 like we did last time. And yeah, I'm ready to get into it, man. So we got this video, then we got the finale, next one. So hopefully y'all ready to watch it. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me get into it.
As our story now continues, following the initial battle involving the Omni Grand Priest having to wage war against the demon god of the underworld known as Raijin following his initial transformation, as it was only just upon with our heroes having to observe with absolute terror minus the Grand Priest and having to wait and see as to what Raijin's next move was going to be, was when Goku then went on to quickly respond by chiming in, "Whoa, what in the world just happened to him out there, you guys?" For his power feels completely different and far more massive than how it was shown prior to watching him undergo that transformation of his. But what do you all think that this could mean? Goku continues, and more importantly, do you all think that he is maybe now around the same level as the Grand Minister? Because I really didn't truly think that he would even go and take it this far, with Whis responding, "Oh dear, well I'm afraid to say that I honestly do not know at the moment, for this new power of Raijin's appears to be the complete integration of both his demonic and angelic sides, in having them be pushed to unprecedented extremes and birthing some kind of a mutation of sorts," Whis continues, as he also seems to now be operating on a level so dangerously volatile that it goes far beyond any normal deity's capacity to maintain, with the only other exceptions in having to be the Grand Minister and the Omni Kings. And with every surge of energy that he exerts, the situation spirals into greater peril in potentially dooming us all if this imbalance that I sense, which appears to be coming from somewhere deep within, isn't dealt with immediately, Whis says. And yet even now I can't seem to detect on where this imbalance is originating from, as the energy currents within his body are now in a constant flux, which ultimately makes it nearly impossible for me to go and trace, Whis says, to which it was only just as Raijin was then shown successfully completing his transformation and now having to address the Grand Priest, was when Raijin then went on to quickly respond, "Behold, O exalted attendant of the Omni Kings, as I have now transcended. For no longer am I bound by the mediocre limits that had once confined within me now, but instead," Berserker Raijin continues, "I now embrace an entirely new realm of power altogether, as well as having me accept this newly forged spirit of mine, which was born out of my hatred and fire, in having it be what will guide me here against you, as you should have destroyed me when you had the chance in having to go and do so earlier," Raijin continues. "But just like yourself here, Grand Minister, I just want for you to know that should the stars go in the line against me, which I already know that they won't, but if against all reason my inevitable victory is once again ripped away from me, then worry not, because there is always a plan B, Grand Minister, an enigma of mine so profound that it will only ensure my triumph over you, even if I am to be destroyed, in ways of which you can't even begin to fathom, you pathetic lapdog. As you may go on to be the ethereal enforcer who governs over the entire multiverse," Raijin continues, "but this breakthrough of mine, after shattering my limits, will ultimately be in what will set the new standard here between us, as it is an extremely rare opportunity for two of the most powerful titans across the planes of all life to be shown in having to clash like this. But what do you say that we go and resume our battle from where we had left off, and finally having to settle our long and storied history here once and for all, as well as finally coming to discover the truth and seeing as to which one of us is truly the strongest living beings in the entire cosmos."
Come on, Grand Priest.
So now, are you ready? Because I am going to hit you with everything that I can possibly exert, and so are you ready? Interesting, the Omni Grand Priest responds, "And so while your power may be impressive to those who are unaware of what it is that you had done to achieve such a level, not only do I hereby feel strongly about this upcoming battle of ours, given my experience and confidence in knowing that my power is mine, and I welcome you to go ahead and gladly give me
he shot a little sneak dish he put in there.
This is going to be the last time that you will ever have the chance to go and prove me wrong about you here, demon, and so now bring it. To which of course Raijin did in fact do exactly as the Grand Priest said in having to bring it, because with Raijin then shown having to quickly make his way towards the Omni Grand Minister was when Vegeta went on to then quickly respond, wait a minute, and just what exactly did he mean by what he had mentioned out there when he said that he had some kind of a plan B in case he is to go and definitively lose out there against the Grand Minister? And more importantly, Vegeta continues, is what exactly do you mean by what you said about having to go and sense the source behind this irregular imbalance within him constantly shifting around to where it can't be traced? Because I don't understand as to what it is that you were saying, and so what exactly do you mean? With Whis having to then quickly respond, well, regarding in what Raijin meant by having this plan B of his in case he were to go and fail to defeat the Grand Minister during this battle, and I'm afraid I haven't the foggiest idea of what exactly he is plotting, as this could simply imply anything from perhaps maybe another hidden artifact of some kind to perhaps maybe an ally of some sorts if he hasn't already eliminated.
Fuck all this talking, let's get to fighting, nigga.
However, Whis continues, I do theorize that this may in fact tie directly into the alarming irregularity that I sense coming from deep within him, and as we mustn't go and underestimate this demon's ability to subvert and manipulate our expectations, Whis adds, even if he is faced with having to go and engage against the Grand Minister's Omni power, because just like he was shown in having to do a few minutes ago, Raijin could ultimately grow desperate enough in attempting to try something similar of the sorts, but in a different way if he needs to. But on top of that, it would seem as though he is continuously drawing additional power from the demon realm and treating it like an endless reservoir for extra energy and a bolstered power supply. I am, however, though stumped on having to break through this enigma, but the Grand Priest being immensely more seasoned and potent, Whis continues, will undoubtedly enough get to the heart of Raijin's anomalies. However, I do implore you all not to go and rush in just yet, and so now let us observe until the moment demands for our involvement, Whis adds, as I strongly suspect that he is still siphoning additional power straight from the demon realm itself and perhaps using it as some kind of an auxiliary energy source or supplementary power supply of some kind to further amplify and fuel his dark evolution. As even though I can't fully penetrate this mystery just yet myself, Whis continues, you can nevertheless rest assured that the Grand Minister, with his vast amounts of experience and unimaginable battle power, will undoubtedly unravel it all by the very end of this conflict, as he is far superior in such matters. But please, everyone, do make sure to hold yourselves back and do not intervene just yet, as we must wait until it's clear for our assistance is truly required in helping the Grand Minister if he needs us. Wait, but hold on, Kibi then went on to quickly ask Whis by responding, at the moment, while it appears like Raijin is at least starting to look as though he is able to fight back without having to be completely overtaken like he was shown in being just a few moments ago, how are we to know if our aid isn't warranted now, Angel? With Whis responding, well, although it's hard to tell at the moment, even though I strongly stand with the Grand Minister in having to still hold the advantage here, despite with Raijin having to seemingly attempt to fight on par with him, very rarely does something like this ever go on to rear its ugly head onto the surface in being something that you will see every day, and for Raijin's destabilizing nature having be something that I'm sure the Grand Minister is already hyperfixated and focused on, Whis continues, we must go on to trust that the Grand Minister can continue to maintain dominance over this demon, and while it's unclear on what exactly is going through each of their heads as they carry on in testing one another's sheer might and willpower by enduring such brutal punishment, unless there is to be something critical that changes, or unless the Grand Priest were to somehow go and approve of our aid, will I only continue to go on to urge you all to stay right where you are and leave this up to the Grand Minister to go and deal with Brohan responding, so tell us then, Whis, is your confidence rooted in knowing that the Grand Minister is still far stronger than this demon currently is? Because unless of course there is something more that none of us can happen to go and see out there, Brohan continues, if the Grand Minister is still in fact far stronger, then how come he just doesn't go and destroy this demon right then and there and be done with this? With Whis responding, now while I do personally still believe for the Grand Minister to not only be far stronger and far more capable than Raijin is shown in having to be out there against him, the reasons as to why I believe that the Grand Minister is looking to wage this fight against such an adversary like this is more than likely due to Raijin's comments about this secondary plan of his, along with having to go and take this time to go and test his Omni level of power, Whis adds, since there of course wouldn't have been anyone else out there who would have been able to go and test the Grand Minister's resolve like this, as I am more than sure that this must be on exactly exactly why he is choosing to go through with this the way that he currently is, to which as Raijin was then shown having to completely land on the ground safely, was when an irritated and frustrated Raijin went on to then further acknowledge the Grand Priest by responding, "Why, you dirty little angelic pest, you aren't going to cast me aside and dismiss my resolve here against you that easily, especially not while I still have far more power left and going and using it here against you." But even despite with Raijin's best attempts in having to once again miss the Grand Priest, was when the Grand Priest went on to then quickly respond, "Then if that's how you plan on having to go and continue this here against me, you'll need to go and be far quicker and far more strategic than that if you hope to achieve this goal of yours, which you and I both know isn't going to be achieved here no matter what it is that you try, Raijin." And so now let us go and continue by having you feel every bit of the pain that you have went on to inflict onto so many others, as this was for attempting to go and do away with both myself along with the Omni Kings. The Omni Grand Priest continues, "For you will never go and be given a second chance to ever go and do what you tried to do against us like that ever again. And while I intend on having to go and prove to you on why your power pales in comparison to my own," the Grand Priest adds, "despite with you having to overexert yourself to the point where you had created a mutation through your will wanting to see me destroyed, and I will hereby go and extinguish that very fire that burns within that blackened soul of yours, no matter how long it will take in having me go and do it." "Oh, is that so? Well, not if I have anything to say about that, you won't, you worthless waste of space. So now here you go, as I want for you to go and take this back." But the Grand Priest wasn't having any of this, because even despite with Raijin being shown having to use a portal in trying to further redirect the Grand Priest attack, with the Grand Priest being shown grabbing onto his own attack before shoving it back through the portal, was when the Grand Priest further went on to acknowledge this sentiment by quickly responding, "As if I'd even give you the chance to go and try it here against me, demon, and so no, I don't think so. And as a matter of fact, since you don't seem to quite understand given your lack of focus whilst being hell-bent on attempting to try and best me, are you beginning to now see on why that will never happen here, demon? Because if you don't, and if you can't seem to quite get it by now," the Grand Priest adds, "then allow for me to once again go and prove to you that no matter what it is that you try, whether it's using demonic or angelic techniques against me, none of it will wind up in having to work on me no matter how many times you go and try them." To which it was only just upon with the massive explosion then quickly having to be seen was when Goku then went on to quickly chime back in, "Incredible, but I can still sense that Raijin's power isn't shown in having to decrease here, but instead," Goku continues, "from what I can tell out there, he seems to be rather forcing himself to go and continue to increase his power despite in having to still fall behind the Grand Minister. So it looks as though you are indeed far more of a complex opponent than I ever expected for someone like you to be. And although I had always known that taking you on was never going to be as easy for me to overcome as it would against any of the others," Raijin continues, "try not to go and celebrate prematurely here just yet, Grand Minister, because maybe you haven't went on to realize this by now, but you are hereby fighting to try and destroy me within my domain here, Grand Minister. And since we are here and having to wage this final battle of ours within my realm," Raijin adds, "in allowing for me to go and hold the upper hand here against you by weaponizing this dimension within my favor here, and so, as long as you continue to go on to wage this war here against me within the very ruins of this world that I have carefully forged in preparation for such events, will I only go on to continue to slow you down more and more until I have you right where I need for you to be, Grand Minister." As it was only just then within these very moments now, as the gigantic molten lava from underneath the demon realm was then shown having to completely go on to overtake the Grand Minister, was when Raijin then went on to quickly continue, "Ah, the arrogance of the divine attendant shines through once again, you celestial fool. Do you truly believe that your petty maneuvers can keep pace with my demonic ingenuity? witty Raijin questions, as I shall outmaneuver you at every turn, outperforming your archaic techniques with sheer barbarism. But don't think that I have overlooked that insidious self-healing ability of yours here either, Grand Minister, because my strategy is hereby tailored to go and prevent you from activating it amidst our frenzy. And while you might hold out for the time being, Raijin continues, I can assure you that I won't let you stay ahead of me indefinitely for much longer. And if you assume that clinging on to this title as being the mightiest in all of creation scares me, then you should go and think again, you angelic rodents, as not only can I now go on to see that you can feel pain and be hurt under specific circumstances and conditions when taking a look at what my attack had just caused you here, as even if I must go on to destroy myself in order to ensure that you are no longer a threat that stands within the way of my plans, Raijin says, then I will gladly go and do what I must as long as I am able to go and watch you suffer, Minister. To which it was only upon with Beerus being shown having to interject himself was when Beerus then went on to quickly respond, wait, you can't be serious here now, right? Are those shards of what seemingly appears to be glass or metal of some kind that this beast has flooded the Grand Minister's body with? Because if so, then now looks to be a better time than any other for us to go and jump. You will not hear Lord Beerus. We
do not jump in.
So please just trust.
If the Grand Priest is struggling, you is getting cooked.
A little while longer while they continue, we says. But Raijin, on the other hand, was not having any of it, because with Raijin quickly shown having to dematerialize just before having to rematerialize behind the Grand Minister was when Raijin then went on to quickly respond. So now ask yourself, what do you think will end up happening to you here if you aren't able to go and fully heal yourself in time? Despite while I continue to go and chip away at your very power until I leave you broken and defenseless and doing anything in response to try to go and stop me, Raijin questions. Because if this is going to be what I will need to go and continue to do, if it means in having me watch you crumble beneath my feet by the end of this duel, then so be it, because I am very far from finished with you here, Angel. But the Omni Grand Priest was having none of it, because even with the Grand Priest, despite having to now know that Raijin was slowly making his way in, was when the Grand Priest went on to then quickly respond, arrogance creature, as all you are managing to go and do here is simply dig your grave that much deeper than how it was shown in having to be before. But no matter, the Grand Priest continues, as your taunts are just as empty as your grasp on this battle here, demon. For it matters not that you are aware of my self-healing capabilities, because such knowledge will only grant you nothing here against me, as you struggle to desperately go and keep pace with me, which is now becoming more evidence based on the way you are fighting here, as I will only go on to permit as to what I can control. And rest assured, the Grand Priest says, this entire confirmation remains firmly under my command, no matter how many times you go and attempt to try to overexert yourself and simply having to keep up with me. For you have deluded yourself into believing that you had went and figured me all out here, but your overly arrogant confidence has betrayed you, because you never did and you never will, demon. And so while your energy continues to surge as you pursue to push yourself far beyond both your physical and mental capabilities, you stagger to adapt when having to face my power in this battle, which only solidifies the painful truth that you have once tried to bury deep within you, which is that you are only hereby being held in place by the very hands that you claim to want to surpass and destroy, but never will, demon. You worthless angelic lapdog, you haven't beaten me just yet, and I vow that you never will. But while you think that you may have me all figured out here, Raijin continues upon being shown clenching onto his stomach, you don't have the slightest idea on what you are truly going up against here, as it'll only be a matter of time before you do, and once you do, will it already be far too late for you to go and do anything that will stop me, as it was only right then and there now during that moment where the Beyond Dragon Ball Super Story of the Dark Masters, the official Murno sequel, manga chapter number 55 special.
Beyond Dragon Ball Super, the Omni Grand Priest versus Berserker Raijin All Out semi-finale showdown. Ooh.
As our story now continues, following the initial battle being waged within the Demon Realm involving both Berserker Raijin and the Omni Grand Priest during the final moments of their battle within the Demon Realm, as it was only with Berserker Raijin now being shown quickly having to fall back upon the Grand Priest being shown having to directly address him was when the Grand Priest then went on to quickly respond, "Now as badly as you wish to go and devour my power by using your own as a means of asserting your authority over my own, you would be truly delusional to go and believe that anything you try here against me will actually be in what will destroy me, demon," with Berserker Raijin responding, "But I don't understand. How are you so calm and why are you acting as though this death battle of ours is over when it's only just getting started here, Angel?" with the Grand Priest responding, "The answer as to why is quite simple here, demon, because not only had I been able to see and noticing that you are doing everything that you possibly can to sustain yourself throughout the course of this battle just to simply stay alive, but I'm also now starting to notice that you are struggling to control the power of the angelic race from deep within, which only goes as far as to tell me that you aren't going to be lasting much longer out here, and you know it, Raijin," with an angry Raijin being shown quickly responding, "Oh, now you listen here, you exalted little worm, for this condescending facade that you continue to plaster on the surface only goes on to mask the fear that I am able to go and sense that is coming from deep within your very spirits," Raijin continues, "because you and I both know that it'll only be a matter of a short time before I find a way to reach you. But worry not about what you think is going to happen here," Raijin adds, "because while you claim to want to go and bolster your resolve by attempting to go and try to make me pay for my actions here against all of you, understand that no matter what you try and say, no matter how many of you there are that wait by the sidelines and having to align themselves in your cause to try and stop me, I will continue to not only force myself to push back against you by crushing you beneath the sheer weight of my bottomless and superior power, but once this battle here between us is finally done and once the dust from our war here finally begins to settle," Raijin says, "it'll be I who will be crowned as the new Omni ruler within this known reality, and unlike how it was a long time ago, it will be you who will come to ultimately experience on what this pain that you claim to want to inflict upon me will feel like once you are to finally fall as I once fell." But then, it was only just within these very moments as the Omni Grand Priest went on to make his move by striking Raijin away was when the Grand Priest went on to then quickly respond, "Then by all means go right ahead and do your worst here if you honestly think that it'll truly be enough to go and crush me, despite with me not even having to feel the need to go and use 100% of my true power here against you to begin with here, Raijin."
You holding back?
I don't like this, as it only now seems like this demon is willing to go and risk it all just to prove his point by doing what he can to try and topple the Grand Minister's power.
Hey, Grand Priest, you can finish this up though.
Although with the Grand Minister seemingly having to go and remain in complete control of this contest, something about this entire situation to me just doesn't feel right, Beerus continues. But hopefully I'll go and be proven wrong here, because that demon shouldn't be this powerful enough to go and resist the Grand Minister, but somehow he is trying to be. To which it was only within these very moments now with the Omni Grand Minister being shown having to completely dominate Raijin by being shown having to strike him from behind was when the Omni Grand Priest went on to then quickly respond, "As this here is for going about and having you carry on by endangering the entirety of all life within the multiverse and calling for the mightiest warriors to go and be destroyed, all within the name of a stolen title that you wield, while I, on the other hand, had been kept locked away by you and allowing for you to nearly secure victory over them, demon. And so now go and do yourself a favor for the sake of having to go and save yourself the embarrassment and surrender this battle here against me. Otherwise, I will go and continue to punish you until you are no longer able to move here, demon," with Raijin responding, "You sanctimonious little fool, basking in your momentary triumph as if it means anything at all in the grand scheme of things. And while you may have went and had outmaneuvered me here once again," Raijin continues, "since I really don't have anything left to lose here, allow for me to go and reveal my glorious master plan to you, Grand Minister. For you see, this anomaly that I have harbored within, which I am more than certain that you have sensed by now, isn't a weakness of any kind, but rather an egg. Yes, a pulsating embryo of power created by infusing my potential along with Murno's former glory and having it give way to my next great evolution, Raijin says.
We got
As I cycle
another
these final
form.
moments during this great conflict of ours in order to go and annihilate my current self so that I may go and be reborn and having to be immeasurably more powerful than how I am right now. And if by some chance my next great evolution is to go and be prevented, then I will go and erupt in an all-consuming explosion, swallowing the entire multiverse whole so that triumph eludes us all internally, Grand Minister. And if I can't be the one to go and rule over these worlds with an iron fist and allowing me to become the mightiest in all of creation, Raijin continues, including by displacing both yourself along with those little worthless Omni Kings, then I will just go about and having to set off my destructive seed early and destroy the entire multiverse, along with every world within it if it means in having to be able to solidify my victory at everyone's expense, Angel. And then, only then, if I am able to go and evolve myself by destroying who and what I am within this very moment so that I may go and emerge far more potent and far more powerful and far more dangerous than how I am right now, will I only then go about by having to carry out these final stages of my newly conjured up grand plan by feasting upon your flesh and the flesh of those who side with you, along with feeding on your beating hearts by the time all of this is over, Raijin says. And if I feel the need to go the extra distance in terminating myself so that none of you may live to see tomorrow, well then that will be exactly on what I plan to do if I need to, Angel. To which it was only within these very moments
Don't let him
once
do it,
again,
Grand
the
Priest.
Omni Grand Priest having to take charge and going after Berserker Raijin yet again was when Goku then went on to quickly respond, wait, so you're meaning to go and tell me that this maniac is planning to not only go and destroy himself so that he could go and use that corrupted seed within himself to evolve into becoming an even far greater danger to us than how he is shown in having to be right now, but he
don't know
will
how that's
also
gonna
go
work.
and still try to attempt to destroy himself along with all of us and the entire multiverse if he can't go through with having to put down the Grand Minister, with Whis responding, yes, that would appear so, as I'm afraid because while I just knew that there was something more that I was able to go and sense that had been coming from deep inside of his dark and twisted soul, Raijin has managed to go and transform his physical body in wielding it like a weapon of sorts, but while their battle above is resulting in having it shake the heavens all around us, I do happen to think that Raijin now knows that without his secondary plans and having them be set into action against the Grand Minister, will he only be doomed to fail like he had failed once before in having to go and stop the Grand Priest, to which as the Grand Priest was then shown behind Raijin, it was only just as Raijin was beginning to look around and having to try to locate to see where the Grand Priest was when the Grand Priest went on to address Raijin by responding, you know, I do find it quite interesting that despite with you having to already lose this battle here against me, you still continue to refuse to accept this notion despite it knowing that you can't match my strength, and so now are you starting to now come to your senses and having you go and see that you are without hope here against me, the Grand Priest questions? Or do you wish to still choose to continue to battle here against me because your desperation is beginning to rear its ugly face on the surface here, Demon, with Raijin being shown having to dash on up by responding, why, you? Well, no, as a matter of fact, I don't, you worthless little lapdog, because this isn't over. Not by a long shot, it's not, and so if you don't want to believe me, then go and stay right where you are and don't move, and I will gladly go and show you. To which moments later, back down below with our heroes now being shown having to slowly reassemble and having to address the overall situation by pondering on what they were going to do was when Brohan then went on to quickly respond, then what do you think that we should go and do if this is what Raijin's motives are truly going to be like, because how are we going to know if our aid won't be useful in this battle against the Grand Minister out there if we don't happen to go and try, with Orange Piccolo responding, well, we don't, but I don't think that having us just stand around to watch as this demon goes and reaches a new evolution would be the smartest approach in this war here against him, and especially not while we have him right where we need for him to be, and so we'll need to go and think of something and hurry and think of something fast, with Beerus responding, so then what exactly do you think will happen if this demon were to somehow go and achieve such a feat defeat here against the Grand Priest, Whis? For do you think that it is possible that this demon will truly be successful in actually having to go and achieve this, with Whis responding, now while I urge for all of you to remain where you are unless the situation absolutely calls for it, what Raijin had mentioned about reaching such a status isn't something that we should take lightly here, Whis continues, and especially not after all that we have seen and had experienced whilst being down here, Lord Beerus. But since I don't hope for us to go and have to find out as to what Raijin means after having to mention a far greater and much more powerful evolution than the level of power in which he happens to wield right now, it truly is hard for me to go and say as to what the outcome of what we are watching go and take place here before us is going to be like. And while I do not have any reason to believe that this demon here is lying about having him go the extra mile if it means in having him win this war against us by any and all means, Whis continues, even at the cost of his very own life within the process. And I sure do hope that for all of our sake, including Raijin's, after learning about what it was that we had learned from him just now, that we don't wind up in having to go and see any of it unfold while we're down here for the time being and facing him, with Beerus responding, wait, so you're actually trying to tell me that it's possible for that monster to go and push himself into truly being able to rival the Grand Priest's Omni level of power? But that's impossible, with Whis responding, well, even though I highly doubt that Raijin will be given the chance to actually go ahead and reach such points of power, it is not, however, outside the realm of possibility for him to go and try it, but we will need to go and wait and see as to how this will go. Your destruction here was inevitable from the very moment that you had went and decided to attempt to try and lock me away, which was never truly ever going to keep me at bay forever, and once you did, you not only had went and had given me a suitable enough excuse to make it my mission in having me go and put you in your rightful place where you went.
Put him in his place, Grand.
But at the same time as this was shown in having to now happen, the Grand Priest continues, though you have masked this irregularity within yourself with cunning precision in concealing the chaotic essence quite well, while also ensuring to go and rapidly move its precise location from me to find and target, the Grand Priest says, I can go as far as to assure you here and now that I will carry on by shattering your dreams and destroy you completely before you can even go and dare to attempt to detonate yourself in a desperate bid to obliterate the multiverse all around you, or before that brewing anomaly is to go and find its insidious way out and onto the surface for you to go and use here against me, demon. For your failure was already predestined, as you lack the experience to ever go and find a way to best me with such amalgamated forces, whether having to simply oppose my power directly or by amalgamating your very own in hopes of having to stop me, the Omni Grand Priest says. And so now don't think that I too wouldn't go all the way if it meant in having to go and protect the multiverse along with everyone and everything within it here against you either. And while your destruction is absolutely indispensable for the sake of the multiverse's survival, your pernicious effect on all life, including those of your very own down here, cannot go and be allowed to continue if we are to hope to preserve and restore the things that you had went and tried to destroy. And while you thought that by using Murno's power and combining it with your own was going to be enough to beat me into submission here against you, you will fail just as Murno had once failed, as this evolution that you seek through having to destroy yourself within the process, only for you to be reborn into a new and far more stronger body, will not be allowed in having it become a reality here, demon, the Grand Priest continues. And while your plans of total annihilation via your own self-destruction to ensure that everything is lost will also be stopped before you can go as far as to try it, understand that whatever you will go and try to attempt and whatever it is that you will attempt to go and try to achieve here will not be something that I will go and stand for, because sooner rather
appreciate
than
playing with
later,
this nigga,
I
bro. He
will
tired of this
destroy
nigga.
you, demon.
We sick of this nigga here.
You angelic freak, Raijin shouts. We'll see soon enough on which one of us will be laughing here last between us, and so now hold still, you little rats. Man, as strong as Raijin is shown in having to go and be up there, Goku then went on to chime in by responding, the Grand Minister is making all of his efforts seem so easy to go and deal with up there, but, well, I guess the question now is how long can they go and continue to keep that level of intensity going before one of them ends up in having to go and be the first to break, as Kibi then went on to respond, "Oh, we should have known that he was looking to go and take all of us down from the very moment that he was shown in having to be set free from that chamber that he was kept locked inside of. But is there anything that either one of us can go and do here that will be enough to help stop him here is the real question," with Whis responding, "Now while I trust that even with Raijin's continuous onslaught and having to show no signs of having him slow down, the Grand Minister does not appear to be wavering against this demon whatsoever," Whis continues, which only goes as far as to further tell me that not only is he confident in being able to go and win this, but I do also want to go and believe that this final clash here between them will more than likely be their last, to which as Vegeta was then shown slowly getting up from the ground was when Vegeta went on to then quickly respond, "Oh damn it, also not only is he aiming to try and destroy all of us via some kind of a self-destruction method in hopes of having to go and try to have nobody win, but now you're meaning to go and tell me that this monster can somehow give way into potentially being reborn through whatever it is that he has going on that seems to be stemming from this abnormal irregularity? Oh, just great. More bad news," Vegeta says, with Kibi being shown addressing Goku by then responding, "Hey, are you guys alright here? As this doesn't seem to look as though we are going to have any luck just by simply having to stand back and watch for all of this to unfold here. So, do any one of you have any ideas as to what we're going to do to go about this?" With Goku responding, "Yeah, but I think that for the most part everyone is okay here, but to be honest, I'm not quite sure on what we can do that'll ultimately change the outcome of this battle here against that monster if you aren't the Grand Minister here, so I can't really say for sure on what we can go and do here that'll work, but we'll just have to go and trust in that." "Alright, now listen closely," Vegeta went on to then quickly shout, "because we don't have a whole lot of time to go and waste on our hands here, so we'll need to go and act fast if we hope to make it out of this battle with our
Vegeta,
lives."
what the hell are you
Vegeta
doing?
Continues, "And it's because we are hereby left with no other choice than to go and attack that freak, and if we can't go and conjure up the power to go and destroy that monster, then at least we can go and use it so that we can distract and disorient him with it in order for the Grand Minister to accurately pinpoint and destroy the source of that demon's power that they sense that is coming from deep within him, as I will not just go on to continue to stand around here while he goes and makes a mockery out of our Saiyan pride," Vegeta adds, "for this imbalance that is seemingly growing within Raijin as he only continues to battle against the Grand Priest, fueled by the Demon Realm's power and amplifying his every move, it is unstable and too dangerous beyond any measure to keep him around," Vegeta says, "for we will have to go and stay committed and seriously focused here by creating a layered diversion to draw him away from the Grand Priest, or before our chances to go and destroy him slips away by intervening at the right moment and pulling his attention away, we have to just go and buy the Grand Priest those vital seconds to go and find the root of this imbalance within his body by ensuring that he were to go and annihilate it for good," as Kibi went on to address the others by then quickly responding, "Well, for what it's worth, Vegeta is right here, because the longer we go and continue to stand around and watch as this irregularity grows into potentially becoming a far bigger problem than how Raijin is shown in having to be at the moment, we will need to go and act in good faith here by attempting to go and subvert Raijin's attention for the time being, so that way we can go and follow through by having to do what we need in order to go and put an end to this for good. But if we don't and simply go and continue to choose to just watch and hope for the Grand Priest to finish this all by himself," Kibi continues, "then I'm afraid that we are only now beginning to set ourselves up for failure if we refuse to go and do anything to go and help him, and it's because we don't have a whole lot of time on our hands here. We will need to go and hurry and do what we must if we hope to go and win this war against Raijin here once and for all," with Goku then quickly shown in having to turn his head by addressing Vegeta and responding, "So what are you planning then here, Vegeta, because we aren't strong enough to go and contend against that beast the way we currently are, and so now what are you suggesting that we should go and do here that will ultimately go and help us?" With Vegeta responding, "Well, we will need to go and try to strike this beast at his very core by using every and all possible avenues to try to go and slow Raijin down, so that way the Grand Minister can go and locate this imbalance and destroy it before he is to go and have a chance to make a move here against us that would disrupt the flow of this battle here against him," as it was only right then and there now during that moment where the Beyond Dragon Ball Super Story of the Dark Masters, the official Murno sequel, manga chapter number 56 semi-finale special then comes to a close.
Well, actually, I'll go.
Alright, shut up, Whis. Alright, okay, getting interesting. I wanna know what's Vegeta cooking up, man. Murno. fucking Raijin's really trying to. Okay, Raijin think he's trying. He can eventually catch up with the Grand Prix. The Grand Prix is just babying that little nigga right now. So we're gonna see what happens next in the finale. Can't wait to see it. Make sure y'all check out the last 2 chapters right here. Check out another story you might like right here. And I'll catch y'all next time. Shout out to UnrealEntGaming. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Peace.